So we are always encouraging you guys to get out there and start full-time RVing. Why wait, right? But there are some things to consider first. Listen, if full-time RVing is something you really want to do, but you're trying to wait for the right time in your life or the right financial situation, it just may never happen. I know for us, it's something we didn't want to look back on 20 years from now and regret never trying it. So with that said, we understand while all of that sounds good, there's still some things you want to consider ahead of time and think about before you do start full-time RVing. And that's what we're going to talk about here real quick today. So number one, things you need to consider before going full-time RV, and that is insurance. A lot of people don't think about this, but if you're going to live in the RV full-time, it needs to be insured. And you need to tell the insurance company that you're going to full-time RV and live inside of it, because a lot of these insurance companies will not insure the RV if they know you're going to full-time RV and live inside of it. Now, you may be inclined to lie to the insurance company just to get a cheaper policy, but in the long run, you're probably going to end up paying more money anyways, because when something does happen and the insurance company does an investigation, finds out you're a full-time RVing, well, you're not going to be covered and you're going to be paying out of pocket anyways. There was one time for us, we were going down the road and we actually broke an axle, which put us out of the RV for a few nights. And of course, with the proper insurance, they put up the hotel for us. Everything was taken care of, and we did not have to stress and worry about that situation. So look into that, check out insurance companies, and find out which policy is going to cover you the way you need to be covered. Number two, do you have the right RV to live in it full time, or do you need to go out and purchase one that's more suited for full-time RV living? And you notice I said suited for full-time RV living and not built for full-time RV living, because hey, none of these rigs are really built for full-time RVing. But with that said, last time I read, there's over 2 million of us who are out there doing it. So if you're going to look for something, try to find something that says at least 3 or 4 season RV. Even with the 4 season RV, I would still take that with a grain of salt. Ours is a 4 season RV, and trust me, in the wintertime, you're still going to have to take precautionary measures to not freeze to death, okay? But what you want to look for is something that at least says 3 to 4 season RV, something that has a insulated heated underbelly. You want to look for whether it's dual pane windows to keep the heat out, to keep the cold out. You want to make sure there's enough AC power, that you have enough AC units on top of it. You're going to be out in the hot climates. There's a lot of things you need to consider when you're going full-time RV in these things. Then again, there's all kinds of modifications and products and things that you can buy and do to the RVs once you purchase them. Little tips and tricks to find out how to live in the winter, how to live in the extreme heat. And we actually have lots of videos just like that in our playlist. And I'll put a link to a couple of those down below, one of which is how to get by the summer heat in the RV, and there's another one is how to winter in your RV. So you guys can check out those later if need be. And that sort of brings us into number 3, which is your RV suspension, undercarriage, tires safe for full-time RVing? What I like to call the foundation of the RV, just like the foundation of your house. Is it well built and safe enough to full-time RV in? Because you're not taking this thing 50 miles down the road anymore, and you're not just taking it out 3 or 4 times in the year on the major, camping holidays. Now you're going to be traveling across the country. You're going to be taking everything you own in that RV. You're going to be weighing it down. So having a proper suspension, axles, equalizers, tires, all that stuff now becomes extremely important. And you need to know if your RV that you have or that you're trying to purchase is going to be well equipped for that. And one of the biggest obstacles you're going to run into right away is weight. Are you overloaded? Is the RV overloaded? Is the gross vehicle weight rating exceeded? And this happens really, really fast once you start full-time RVing. Trust me, it doesn't take much. Most of these RVs are built with the bare minimums as far as axles and suspensions and tires go. So as soon as you say put a washer and dryer in there, you load it up with your tools and a few other things, you're going to be exceeding the weight limit real fast. And once you do exceed that weight limit, now you're going to be putting a lot of strain on your suspension, on your leaf springs, and your axles, and you're not going to be safe going down the road, and you're not also going to be legal either. So that's something you have to consider. You have to look into those numbers. You have to know what you're looking at. You have to know what you're looking for. Listen, we have a whole video on tow numbers, how to find your tow numbers, how to find GVWRs, and all that good stuff, figure out what all that means. At the end of this video, if you want to go check that out, I'll have links below and you can find out if your truck is safe enough, if your RV is overloaded, how to find those numbers, how to weigh everything, and how to figure all that out so you can be safe going down the road. And this way you'll also know, hey, this isn't the right RV for us, it doesn't have a big enough cargo capacity, and things like that before you take the plunge and find out the RV that you have just isn't going to cut it. And there are some things that you can do to change this, whether you change it from the manufacturer if you order your RV, or if you get some modifications done like we did down the road. It's something we recently did. We upgraded from 7K axles to 8K axles. We went to bigger, beefier leaf springs, a better equalizer system, better tires, all that kind of stuff, because hey, everything we own is going down the road. So we wanted to be as safe as possible. We wanted to up our cargo capacity a little bit. While it's not exactly changing the DOT sticker on the side of the camper, you can't really do that, but we do now have a peace of mind knowing that we can technically carry more weight because we have upped the foundation of the RV and beefed everything up under there, and it just makes more sense for us. And that's something you may want to look into right off the bat if you're going to start full-time RVing, because it just becomes a dangerous situation for you and everybody else on the road if your numbers don't match and you're just exceeding all of your weight limits, and it's just not a good situation. Okay, and one bonus tip, we'll call it tip 3.5 on things to consider before you go full-time RVing, and that's your pets. Don't forget about your furry friends. Listen, is this lifestyle going to be right for them too? They're not going to have big yards to run around anymore and things like that. It's something to consider if you have big dogs or high energy dogs that need open spaces. This may not be the right lifestyle for them, but if you're going to take your furry friends with you along on the journey, one thing we absolutely highly recommend using is the WAGGLE pet monitor. This is something that is just extremely important to use because unlike a house, if you lose power in these RVs, they heat up in the summertime just like an automobile. So that's where the WAGGLE pet monitor comes into play. It runs on a Verizon network, so you don't even have to worry about having Wi-Fi or losing your Wi-Fi signal if you're hooked up to the campground Wi-Fi. And it's going to notify you with real-time notifications to let you know if the RV lost power. It's going to notify you if the temperature gets too hot, humidity, whatever you want to set. You're going to get these real-time notifications via text and email, and you're going to keep getting the notifications until the parameters fall back into the safe zone. Great peace of mind when we're out away hiking. We know that if something is going to happen in the RV, that we now have notifications, and we can just also check back into the app anytime to see what the temperature is and see what's going on. So listen, if this is something you guys are interested in, and again, if you do full-time RV with pets, I think it's something extremely important that you almost have to have. We'll have a code and an affiliate link down below, YWAIT55, and that'll get you 55% off the WAGGLE pet monitor. And number 4, when considering to go full-time RVing, you need to consider the cost of full-time RVing and how are you going to make money and make a living on the road. Now, this is probably something you're going to consider before you start doing this and dive into it, at least I hope you would. But you may not realize that full-time RVing is a little bit more expensive than you might think if you're new to it. A lot of people think, oh great, we're selling our house, we don't have a mortgage payment anymore, it's just going to be living on the road, it's going to be a lot cheaper, we're going to save tons of money. But if you talk to a lot of full-time RVers, a lot of us will tell you that it's just as expensive as owning a house, if not more so. That seems a little bit crazy, but that just seems to be the way it is nowadays, as the prices of these campgrounds have really skyrocketed, as well as everything else you have to take into account when traveling, diesel fuel, repairs, and all these things that just seem to add up. The cost of full-time RVing may not be the cheapest way to live. If this is why you're getting into it and you're thinking we want a full-time RV just to save money, well, you need to really punch some numbers, do some research, reach out to some full-time RVers and find out what they're paying and what it's really going to cost to live this lifestyle before you get on the road and find out, this is a little expensive. This isn't quite what we thought. Gone are the days of $20 a night staying at a campground. So just be conscious of that. All things that need to be considered before you do hit the road, and don't be fooled into thinking, oh, this is just going to save us tons of money and we'll move back into a house after we build up all of our funds from living cheap on the road. Probably not so much. Those are just 4 tips that you need to consider before full-time RVing. But don't let it scare you away, and get out there, start your full-time RV adventure. Don't wait. Try to make it happen if it's something you really want to do, because why wait? You guys don't want to regret it, look back on life later and say, I wish we would have at least tried it. Hope this helped you out a little bit. We'll see you next time.